What's up, everyone? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined this morning by Daniel Starkand here to talk about, I would say, Daniel, the most surprising storyline of the Dodgers season. Bobby Miller coming back from injury and struggling so bad that he was optioned to AAA with an 8.07 ERA. It's surprising because it's Bobby Miller. It's not surprising because of the ERA and what we've seen on the field. What was your immediate reaction when you heard the news that he was being sent down?
I would say my immediate reaction was, not surprised just because
Yeah.
of how he's pitched. I guess you weren't completely sure if this was going to happen just because we know the current state of the Dodgers starting rotation, and it's not like they got just a bunch of arms waiting in the wings. Like they need guys that could eat innings right
Yeah.
now. And Bobby Miller, even though he hasn't pitched well, he's at least healthy as far as we know. Like who knows if he actually is, but as far as we know, he's healthy. So but if you look at the way he's pitched, he could definitely use some time in the minors to go work on some things. Like the command has been everywhere. Like we know the kid's got great stuff. The fastball's upper 90s. He's got a good changeup, good solid breaking ball. But right now he just has no clue where anything's going. And I think honestly a big issue for him, and this even goes back to last year when he's really good, like he just hasn't figured out a way to keep innings from snowballing, and I
Yeah.
think that's what we've seen a lot from him. Like he might look good for a couple innings, and then he just has that one blow up inning where he gives up 4, 5, 6 runs and just can't figure out a way to get out of it. So I definitely think he could benefit from some time in AAA, maybe tweak the mechanics. The command is just off right now, and as
Yeah.
great as your stuff is, you're not going to have success at this level with when your command's that bad.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that about command because that's one of the things that jumped out to me. You can look at some of the StatCast stuff. The barrel rate has doubled. The exit velocity is up. All the expected stuff is up. Hard hit percentage went from 37.6 to 43.2. Strikeout rate is down over 3%. Walk rate is up almost over 7%. So all these numbers are going the wrong way. But Daniel, you touched on what I think is the key, and it's his command. If you look at some of the numbers about how much he's been in the zone, last year, 49.9%. This year, that's down to 47.6%. The problem is that's just like the tipping point of all the rest of it. So because he's not in the zone, well, his chase rate, people were chasing 28.5% last year. That's down to 24.5% this year. And not only is he missing the zone, when he's in the zone, they have a number that's called the meatball percent. Last year, he threw 7.5% meatballs. This year, it's up over 9%. So you've got a guy that is in the zone less, so they're taking more. They're not swinging at the stuff out of the zone. And when he is in the zone, it's more likely to be middle. And so as you look at all that, my question to you, Daniel, is how correctable is this? The reports are he's going to go down. He's going to work with friend of the show, Rob Hill, down in the Dodgers minor league system. He's going to make a couple starts, an indeterminate amount of starts in Oklahoma City after the All-Star break. Is something like command, is that something fixable? This is sort of an age-old baseball debate, I feel like, that I guess we're about to get some answers on.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between command and control, and obviously, like he has walked a bunch of guys. Like I think he's walked 3 guys in every outing since he's come back. So the control is off, but at the same time, the command is off, and that's kind of what you pointed out, where even when he's in the zone, like he's not throwing the ball where he wants to. He's often leaving the ball right in the middle of the plate. That's what we just saw against the Phillies the other day.
Yeah.
Like he was throwing meatballs right down the middle, and like a guy like Trey Turner is gonna hit that out every time, so I do think if a guy has bad control, like I don't know if that's necessarily correctable, but I do think you can work to improve your command. And I think we've seen better versions of Bobby, last year, and obviously coming into this year, we were all really high on him. He looks great in his first start, and then it all kind of went downhill from there. He gets hurt and has come back and just hasn't looked like himself. So I definitely think that's something he could work to improve, whether that be mechanical, tweaks. And a lot of it just has to do with like confidence, like throwing your pitches with conviction, like believing that you're going to get the guy out, like no matter what you throw. And a lot of that has to do with the lack of success he's had. Like I'm sure the confidence is just not very high right now. So I think if you go down to the minors, work on some things, have some success, like get your confidence back. Like Bobby Miller is a guy who should never not be confident. Like with the stuff he's got, he should be on the mound ready to throw to whoever, whatever, whenever. Like, this is
Yeah.
Bobby Miller we're talking about. So I definitely think he could benefit from going down and getting his confidence back. Obviously, if he goes down and keeps getting shelled, it could go the opposite direction. Like, the confidence could continue to get worse. But I definitely think he's obviously, more likely to have success at that level than if you keep trotting him out there in the big leagues every fifth day, hoping for the best. Kind of reminds me another guy we're going to talk about in this video, like Walker Buehler, kind of what they did with him as well. We'll see whenever he comes back if he could, regain that confidence and that command and such. But very similar situations, honestly. And obviously, you hope that he could kind of go down there for a few weeks and then come back up in August or whatever and look like the old Miller. That would be ideal, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, the good news for Miller is that the stuff is still there. Walker Buehler is having to sort of reinvent himself with a diminished version of himself while also battling the mental stuff. The quote from Roberts was, I don't know how long it's going to take on Miller. No one does. Don't focus on getting back here. Focus on getting right. And again, to your point, it's the similar message that Walker Buehler has received. We know he's on the injured list with a quote unquote injury that is quote unquote physical, as well as I'm sure emotional, mental, all of that. But he is working out at Cressy Sports Performance in Florida, throwing bullpens, working to get himself back. It's kind of a unique situation that the Dodgers are allowing a guy to go and work outside of the organization. Obviously, throw some stuff at the wall and see what sticks if you're Walker Buehler based on the performance we've seen from him. But what's your take on this move from the Dodgers saying, go ahead, go work out with somebody outside of the organization to try and get yourself right?
Yeah, I can't say I've ever seen this before. Like, obviously in the off season, like, guys have their own pitching coaches or whatever that they work out with, but I don't know if I've ever seen it like in the middle of the season like this. And kind of like you said, like, it's just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks at this point. Like, it tells me that like the Dodgers really don't have any answers right now. Like, if they had a plan for him, then he wouldn't be in Florida with whoever doing whatever at this point. And it also tells me that this is probably Walker Buehler's last season in Dodger blue. Like, I think if this is a guy like a Bobby Miller who's under contract, long term, you're really invested in his future. I don't think you just say, yeah, go ahead, like, go to Florida for 2 months. Let's see what you could do. Like, I think we're at the point where Walker Buehler wants to take control of his own future. Like, he's going to be a free agent this offseason. Obviously, the last couple years have not gone well for him. So he's trying to salvage whatever he can at this point. And B, when you're looking at it from the Dodgers perspective, you're just like, hey, if you could, like, whatever it takes at this point, like, if you could come back in a month and contribute in any way, like, we'll take that, just because of how bad it was and the current state of the rotation. Like, you'll take whatever you could get at this point. So I think they're just kind of hoping for the best at this point. We'll see. Like, I don't think anyone knows what to expect when he comes back. Like, maybe he made some tweaks, and I'm not saying the old Walker Buehler will be back, but maybe he could be a serviceable big league starter. Or it might just be more of the same. We'll see.
Yeah, again, the hope is, look, it's good news in my estimation that he's going out there and he's going to try and get some stuff fixed. I've said all along, he probably needed to hit rock bottom in order to try and experiment with some things that maybe the Dodgers or some other folks were hopefully would. I think he's done that. I think he hit rock bottom, having to come up to the major leagues and sort of eat crow on how he performed and answer questions after the fact. His last press conference, or media scrum was pretty depressing when you read the quote. So the hope is that he's now a totally open book, open to anything, and saying, all right, if you want me to try this, if you think this works, like, there's really smart people out there who understand pitching in a way that many of us never will. And so we'll see. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's kind of like, what's the worst that could happen? Like, that he was the same that he was beforehand. Like, that's pretty bad, but it's not going to improve anyway. So we'll see. Again, Bobby Miller going to do some work with Rob Hill and the Dodgers minor league pitching coordinators while at Oklahoma City, make a couple starts there, see what happens. Walker Buehler away from the team down in Florida, working on some stuff as well. So the Dodgers, I believe, up to like 12 pitchers on the injured list, not including Bobby Miller, who's not on the injured list. He's just down in AAA. So lots of improvement needed for the Dodgers. But here's the good news, everybody. It's the middle of July. It's not even the All-Star break yet. It's coming up. So plenty of time for the Dodgers to try and fix some things, get some things right, as well as make some moves at the trade deadline. That is Daniel Starkand. I am Jeff Spiegel. As always, we appreciate you all joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day and go Dodgers.